can't keep her waiting anymore. She's going to eat her
We
way.
can't. Let's get her on.
I'm waiting. Come on, one of your specials.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the glamorous.
You can't say that.
Hugely intelligent.
You can
takes
say that.
complicated legal concepts and makes them easy to understand and digestible.
Yeah.
One bite at a time.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hatti Suvari.
Good afternoon. Who are you speaking about, Neil?
You.
I'm looking for them.
First of all, are you feeling
You've got to
better?
stop all these compliments because people are going to really start expecting spectacular stuff, and it's just
No. Our audience has a very, very low. We set the bar. I mean, Neil and I set the bar very low.
Nonsense.
Let's be honest. So
and
anything
I'll tell you
you
what,
say
if
sounds
someone's
great.
facing a difficult legal question and they can tune into this and get an answer, I wouldn't say that's average at all, would you?
No,
I'd say that's pretty momentous.
Not at all.
Hopefully,
Right.
what we say on this show in this legal half an hour helps lots and lots of people. Because today I want to talk about holiday laws that you need to know. It's not the first thing that pops to mind when you think of having a holiday. And as the heat turns up, over 60% of Brits will head overseas for holidays, and apparently that's annually some 71 million trips are taken
Good
overseas.
God.
That's
What?
a lot from the UK.
In a country of 65 mil?
Yeah, well, you go away sometimes more than once a year, but 71 million trips are taken overseas in the UK. So, and obviously 60% of us are going away for the summer or do go somewhere and do something for the summer. So there are some bits here that I think people might find interesting. New laws for Brits visiting popular destinations like Spain and Cyprus. Some seem sensible, but others are a little bit surprising. What to look out for on your passport so you can be allowed to travel. And that's actually even getting out of the country. And now that we're out of the EU, there seems to be some confusion as to whether our UK driving licenses are still valid in EU countries.
I haven't even thought of that.
So what to consider to be able to drive abroad in certain countries. And I'll give you some heads up on which countries you can't drive with just a UK driving license.
Fascinating.
And I'm going to tell you if it is a legal requirement to have travel insurance. Again, most of us don't think about that. We're so busy trying to book the holidays that you don't think as to whether you've got it in place, whether you've got sufficient travel insurance in place, and when compensation for a delayed flight actually kicks in. Because there's so many myths around that and so many stories of what people think should happen and could happen and would happen. So that's basically what I want to try and cover today very quickly.
In the next 2 days.
The floor is yours, Hatti. The floor is yours.
All right, new laws for Spain and Cyprus. So here are the bullet points for these two popular destinations. So Cyprus has introduced some new laws against possession of illegal drugs, including a ban on laughing gas. The new rules are now stricter than the UK, with zero tolerance policy if caught in possession of any substance, prison sentence or hefty fine. As I said, the headline there is it is now stricter laws than the UK. Driving in Cyprus, you should be aware that it's illegal to eat or drink anything behind the wheel. And the rule is so strict that even if you say, I was parched, I needed to cool myself off, had no aircon in my car, I really needed to have this sip while I was driving, it will not be enough to dodge you a fine. So just bear that in mind. 15 million Brits visit Spain each year. The new laws include warnings to holidaymakers to check their behaviour. So the Spaniards are set to stamp out noisy and boozy tourists with a drinks limit of 6 alcoholic drinks per day. How on earth they're going to measure that in some locations, I have no idea. But
hang on, even Ibiza, that's Spain, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So
that's just nonsense.
That's part of their new rules. Spain have also brought in a ban on smoking on 28 of its beaches, as well as having introduced a new law where they can ask you to prove on entry that you've got at least €100 per day for each day of your visit, plus a minimum of a further €900 on top, as well as proof of where you've planned to stay. Otherwise, they can refuse you entry.
God, this is like Hattie, this is very much like if you get a bad turn at the immigration in coming into New York or LA. Whoa, totally.
Yeah, this is Spain. This is Spain saying we don't want boozy tourists. We're banning smoking on a lot of beaches, 28 to start with. On entry, we can ask you to say, show us €100 for every day of your stay, plus 900 on top. Otherwise, we can
All
refuse
right.
you.
Not meat and potatoes question. How do you do that? You're standing at immigration. You got
Well, I
screaming
guess
kids around you. Well, I haven't, but they have.
Yeah.
What happens? What do you do?
Well, if they're asking you for cash, prove you're here for 14 days, so you need €1,400 plus the 900 on top. My maths about €2,500. You may not have that in cash. Most people pay by card.
Yeah.
You can show a bank statement. Most people have online banking. You can just log in and say, here's what I've got. I can't afford to visit and be here. But they are saying in their laws, if we ask you and you can't show proof, we can refuse you entry. And
so what's the purpose of this? Is it basically to stop that culture of British bulldog kind of thing?
I have no idea, to be honest. I think that, Spain, I went to Spain very recently for a couple of days, and it completely changed my perspective of Spain. It was not boozy. It was not loud. It was so civil. It was lovely. The food was amazing. But yes, I guess that they're just trying to.
But you probably weren't in Torremolinos. I'm going out on a limb here.
No, I was in Seville.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
it was very nice.
Beautiful city.
It was absolutely stunning.
What I have noticed is when I go on holiday is that people, particularly blokes from Britain, can be absolutely vile. I was in Ibiza with my daughter and we nearly stayed in this hotel, and I'm so glad we didn't. It was in San Antonio, right on the front, and out of every balcony was all these blokes drinking, leaning over the balconies, going "Whoa!" like that. And it's really, I like a drink, but really there was no need for that.
No, I get it. Look, passports, okay? Most people do not check the expiry date on their passports, believe it or not. And even if they do, they think, oh, I've got 3 months to go. I've got 2 months to go. I've got 6 months to go. Some countries will not let you in if you do not have 6 months to expiry on your passport.
Yes.
Okay. And what happens is, forget getting in the country. When you go to fly out and you check in, that is the point where they can say, you might not be able to fly out, because if we fly you out and the country refuses you entry, then they get fined for letting you go out. So please, please, please check the expiry date on your passport. For example, the UAE, you need 6 months to expiry on your passport to enter any country in the UAE. It's really quick to do. Applying for a new passport can be very efficient and very quick as well these days. Driving abroad.
Can I just ask a question? Is some of this 2 fingers to the UK for leaving the EU?
No,
not the United Arab Emirates, obviously.
The expiry date, Russ, was always a point. It's always been a point. You've got to have more than 3 months on your passport to leave the country and go on holiday. Because if something happens to you, God forbid you fall ill or something, and you can't board that flight, and for some reason you're stuck there, and then your passport expires. Can you imagine?
Well, I got to tell you something. It's apropos of nothing. My daughter, who's doing gangbusters work at the moment, years ago was going away, and I said, "No, don't forget your part." Oh, for God, Dad, you're just a fuss pop. Of course, you think I'm going to be stupid and forget my passport.
And it expired.
I'll get a phone. No. I get a phone call. Dad, what? You mentioned the passport. Yeah. I put it in my pocket. Yeah. She put her Woolwich Building Society passport.
Oh no! Where was she, at the airport? Oh no! No, that's no good. Oh no, don't. Or you pick up the wrong passport. You pick up a passport that belongs to another member of the family. If they're kept in the drawer somewhere.
That'd be worse almost.
Right, driving.
Driving.
Fat Scotty says, I'm just doing this in case you're listening and you're not seeing us. France, along with many EU countries, state you must carry an EU driver's kit which contains 2 breath tests, blimey, high vis jacket, or presumably, or a jerkin, or whatever they call it, headlamp converters. What's the legal penalty for failing to comply? Blimey, O'Reilly.
Well, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, how could you carry headlamp converters in your
You fit them in the old days. You used to fit. Do you remember you used to see yellow head? You're too young. You used to see yellow.
No, I
headlamps.
still do see yellow headlamps.
Well,
They're
you'd
quite
have to
easy
go
on
to
the eye.
like
These
Halford.
Xenons drive me nuts.
You'd go to the literally you'd go to the AA or you go to Halfords or something, and you have to buy those stupid yellow things where you can see sod all. It's because you don't want the lights pointing in the wrong direction.
Bamboozle the driver in front.
That's right.
I mean, again, the most important thing about driving abroad is to check that your driving license has not expired, because driving licenses in the UK expire every 10 years. Again, something most people don't know. They think, what do you mean it expires? I've got my driving license. What do you mean I need to reapply and get a new one? You do. You need to update it because you're asked certain medical questions by the DVLA, and you need to. It's just a process. You don't need to go, obviously, for your driving test again or do any of that. Make sure it's not expired. Check if you need, and this is the key bit, international driving permit to drive in your chosen destination. And you can do this because obviously we can't cover every country now, although I'm going to mention a few, on the gov.uk website.
Okay.
You actually do need an international driving permit to drive in the USA, Turkey, Brazil, Japan, and the UAE. Yes, you do. And even though we're out of the EU, you can still drive in the EU with a full UK driving license.
But Hattie, I've never. As soon as I get to the States, I get.
Do you need a permit for that?
What?
For
the EU countries?
No, you can drive in the EU with a full UK driving license.
But in the US, I've never got an extra permit. I just drive.
You need it's called an international driving permit, and you can get one really easily and really quickly. I recently actually did it. You go along to a participating post office. Again, you can check which post offices actually distribute them. Going online, each post office will show you the services that it covers. Passport size photo, your UK driving license, £5.50 is the fee. They do it over the counter, and it takes about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And they can be valid from anything from 1 year to 3 years. So it's a bit of card. It's just a little bit of card that they give you with your picture on it. They seal it, they stamp it, they put all these marks on it to make sure it's an original document. And that is your international driving permit, which allows you to drive in, as I mentioned, UAE, USA, Turkey, Brazil, Japan, and a whole host of other countries that say you must have one of these.
I suppose people wouldn't really think about these things. They seem very obvious.
I never have. Wow.
Now you're saying them. But yeah, no, it's already good to know.
And don't forget, can I just while it's on my head, so sorry, Neil, I'll come right back. When you're going to the States, don't forget ESTA. I don't mean drag your aunt along. I mean ESTA. Yeah. You need ESTA. It only costs £15. So
what is that?
The ESTA form, which I'd never heard of until I was traveling out to Los Angeles, and they said, have you got your ESTA? And I panicked. And luckily, I sorted out the airport. You go online, and you literally, it's just ESTA, and you fill it in, costs £15, and you get it. And you have to have that. I don't know what
it stands for. Electronic System for Travel Authorization, ESTA.
Yeah.
Which cucumber sandwich eating committee decided that?
Well, it's been in
£15. I mean, I shouldn't probably say that, but I'm going to say it.
Well, the CIA are going to be visiting you now. You
know. There you go.
Hope Hillary Clinton is in charge of that. And they'll find you floating. Now, here's the thing. The ESTA is very important, and it takes no time. You do it online, but you can do it as long as it's registered.
Okay.
They will
check. Green card you needed to enter.
No.
Okay, so you need the ESTA. You need to check. If you're going to drive, obviously you need the international driving thing. Right. Is it a legal
ESTA
requirement?
is just to enter the country. It's not about working. It's literally just to come into the country. That's all.
I think you need one for Canada as well, I think. I seem to remember having to get one for Canada when I went to visit my daughter. Don't take that as gospel, but I seem to remember that.
Okay. And a check shirt for Canada. Oops.
Is it a legal lumberjack? Is it a legal requirement to have travel insurance?
Ooh.
Most people say no, it's not. Well, for most parts of it, if you don't require a visa for entry, then usually travel insurance is compulsory. However, again, there are some parts in the world where travel insurance is legally required for you to enter, whether you have a visa or not. Some of these countries include Cuba, Israel, Iran, Jamaica, Qatar, the UAE, Ecuador, and the list goes on. So it's a legal requirement for you to have valid travel insurance to travel to some countries. And it's really important to check before you go. I mean, I would say have travel insurance no matter where you go.
Absolutely.
Because you could fall ill and have medical bills. You could, end up staying there for some reason outside of your control and need further accommodation. You could have lost baggage. You could have a cancelled flight. Travel insurance should, be something that you take. And you can check quickly to see which countries legally require you to have travel insurance from the citizensadvice.org.uk website by going in, and it comes under types of travel insurance, and all the countries are listed, and you can see, do you have to have it as a legal requirement or not?
Can I just say, this is my personal view, you are bonkers if you don't take out travel insurance when you're traveling.
I agree. I agree.
Absolutely
it's really
take it out,
important.
because if you, God forbid, you get ill, and in America, holy God, forget it. They'll leave you on the street. Seriously, they just leave you on the street.
Hattie, where can
Most
people
countries-
check? You gave us a lovely list there. Where can
For
people
travel,
check?
yes. So you can check to see whether you need travel insurance for the country that you're traveling to by going to citizensadvice, which is one word, .org.uk. And then you go there and you go types of travel insurance. You type that in and it brings up all the countries and whether you really need the travel insurance as a requirement or not. But I mean, the UAE, Qatar, very popular destinations. Israel, very popular destination. Lots of people go to Cuba. There are lots of countries on there which are common destinations for us Brits. So, but I totally agree with you, Russ. I mean, you should. It does, with some bank accounts, come as standard as a little bonus, free travel insurance with some bank accounts. So it's worth checking that. Also, check with your home contents insurance, because sometimes some of your items, like expensive items, for example, it could be watches or laptops or iPads, can come under your home contents insurance as being covered away from home.
Yes.
So it's worth checking what you're covered for and with who. So,
but it's not expensive. I'm so just to jump in. It's not prohibitively expensive. And trust me, if you lose all your luggage or God forbid get ill, that 30, 50 quid you spend, right? So it's one less round of drinks you buy. Trust me, it's worth it.
Absolutely. It's well worth it.
Peace of
mind. And I think absolutely. And, I know we don't want to read the small print, but it is important to look at what is your excess and make sure you can afford that. Because if you fall ill or an emergency takes place and you can't afford the excess because it's been set at £1,000 and you just don't seem to have that, available to pay, check what your excess is going to be. Check and just keep a copy of it on your phone or in your luggage somewhere where you can access the contact number very easily. Because the worst thing is when you're abroad, you need to contact your insurance and you don't know where to start. You think, God, who was the insurer? What's the policy number? Who do I call? What's the the emergency claim number?
Totally.
So
very important.
Last point.
Put it into perspective. You go for a CT scan on the NHS. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you. You walk out. Have a CT scan in America. That is $15,000 to $20,000.
Is it really, Russ?
Oh yeah.
It's a few £15,000 to $20,000. I know it's a couple of thousand here, but how much?
Yeah, 15 to 20,000.
That's absurd.
Yeah, wow. That's America for you. That's the American medical system. It's insanity.
That's a lot of money for a CT scan. Wow.
I'm telling you, what happened to my late friend. He was in there 20 minutes. And I said, I go to Guy for my stuff. I go to, Guy's Hospital or St. Thomas's. Thank you very much. I walk out. Doesn't occur to me. He went to Cedar Sinai. I think they charged him 15 grand.
Well, I do know it's a couple of thousand here privately, CT scans on, depends on where and obviously what body part and all that sort of stuff. But $15,000 to $20,000.
I'm telling 15 to 20 grand. Yeah.
What's your final point, Hattie?
Oh, compensation on a delayed flight.
Oh, yes,
when does it actually kick in? Again, there's so many myths and incorrect stats flying around on this. I thought, you know what? Let me just throw this one in as well. So if a flight is delayed for 3 hours or more, you may be able to claim compensation up to £520 if the delay was not caused by the airline. So it depends on what the delay was caused by. And there's lots of what they come under as non-fault reasons. So some of these non-fault reasons are things like extreme weather, airport air traffic control, an issue with that, or employee strikes. So if the delay has been caused for a fault that does not belong to the airline itself, then you could claim up to 520. I think you put 530 up there.
I did. I was just correcting that, Hatti. Sorry.
No worries. £520. And I found a really useful website where you can go in and honestly, all you had to do is put your flight number and the date I think you travelled, and it will tell you whether you can claim compensation or not. I don't know how on earth they do it and how they check whether these airlines were delayed or not. Called airhelp.com.
Wow,
and
love
airhelp
that.
was one word.
Love that.
Airhelp.com. So if you're thinking, can I claim compensation for this delay? You go in there, and as I said, from what I saw, I thought that's really neat. You just put your airline, your flight number in, and I think the date that you were going to travel, that you're about to travel, whatever it is, and they come out with all this blurge, and I think they get a percentage of what they've claimed for you. So I'm not even sure if you have to even pay them to process your claim.
Where do you start? Where do you? I see. This is interesting. Graham Pat says, "Hi Hattie, I've issued proceedings against EasyJet for non-payment of compensation under EC 261 for my wife's cancelled flight to Portugal."
I wonder if that was an online claim that he issued, the money claim, because that's the quickest and easiest way to do it.
Very quickly, you're sitting in the airport. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Long. Your flight's delayed by 4 hours, whatever it is. Why? Ash in the air or something, whatever it is. Where do you start your claim? You don't start arguing, presumably, with the man or woman.
Well, I would say get on the flight and get to the other destination so you know exactly how long that delay has actually been.
Right.
See what reasons are being given to you. But then you start really with the customer service department of your airline. So it's not the broker, it's the airline itself. So it's not Thompson who sold you an EasyJet flight or whatever it is. It'll be with the airline itself, and you'll write to them and you'll say, this day, this time, this was the delay. They'll know about the delay in any event.
Right.
A quick question I've got. I'll just do this for Fat Scotty. Many holiday insurance policies state exclusions for alcohol or drug-induced injuries. Yeah, they'd be skinned. Not only would you face medical bills as not covered, criminal charges of being intox or nartoxed. Oh, I never heard the word nartoxed before.
Good one.
I haven't either.
Nor me. I like
nartoxed.
it.
Yeah, it leads on to my next question, actually, because marijuana seems to be being legalized more and more around the world. But I guess if people do choose to do that, they need to be a little bit careful where they do it. And what's the difference between tolerated and legal? Because it's legal in Canada, but it's tolerated in Amsterdam. What is the difference?
Well, I would say that legal is written in law. So you're either breaking the law or you're not. A tolerated position is someone saying, listen, we know you're going to have a little bit of marijuana in your hash cake in Amsterdam. We're actually happy that can take place, and it's not illegal for it to take place. Tolerance is something to do with the culture, I'd say, and with the policies of the country, policies. And really legal is as it is. It's either legal or it's not legal. Full stop. That's my interpretation of that.
It's like being a little bit pregnant, isn't it? There's no such thing. Graham Pack is just confirming it's an online claim, really easy.
Yes.
They've just acknowledged the claim, gives them an additional 14 days to give their defence. They're claiming extraordinary circumstances.
Oh, well, as I said, it depends why the delay. Well, that was a cancellation. So it depends why the cancellation took place. But online money claim, I will do an episode on that because it's actually so easy. Not that I'm trying to create a litigious mindset. But if you want to make a claim, it's not as frightening, it's not as expensive, it's not difficult. It's actually really easy to do online.
I don't think you're creating that at all. I think one of the main things that we talk about so much on the Daily Show is feeling powerless. And you, with your expert knowledge and everybody joining in with their own experiences, makes people think, you know what, I'm not going to take this crap anymore. I've been inconvenienced. There has to be, some recompense for that. And I don't want to be that little person.
Hattie, this is for your TikTok.
Oh my God. I love the hearts. I love hearts. I'm a girl. I love hearts. When I say that. Well, I am going to say it. But this goes back to what I always say. We're not taught the law anywhere unless you electively go and learn it. Why we're not taught the law in school is beyond me. Secondary children should have a very
course they
basic
damn
learning
should.
about the laws. And going back to what you're saying, Ross, you're empowered when you've got the knowledge. You might not get into trouble because you know the law. You might avoid trouble. You might be able to understand the situation a lot better because you understand the law. And you won't be taken for a ride if you understand the law.
Stop mugging us off, really, is the underlying thing. Stop it. Hatti Suvari of Get Legally Speaking, bless you. Always
Brilliant,
an
Hatti. Thank you.
inspiration. Neil
Thank
Long,
you,
thank
guys.
you for your on Monday.
Always a
and
pleasure,
Wednesday.
never a chore,
Never a
Hatti.
chore. Good luck with all your gigs. I'll be back on Friday with a fair wind and a fair wind. Bye, gang.
See you Monday. Hatti, see you next Wednesday.